You won't believe what happened at the very end of this story. Stick with me, because this is one of those moments that proves miracles can happen in the most unexpected ways, from the most unexpected people. If this story touches your heart even half as much as it did mine, you'll want to hit that like button and subscribe to join us for more true stories of hope. The gavel came down with a final, thunderous crack, a sound that would never startle its owner, Judge William Pendleton. In his courtroom, his word was law, his voice, order. But at home, in the quiet, sterile silence of the nursery, his authority meant nothing. His son, Samuel, was born into a world of perfect silence. The specialists, with their somber faces and charts, were unanimous, profound, bilateral sensorineural hearing loss. Incurable. The judge, a man who commanded sentences that changed lives, was powerless to change this one. His wife, Eleanor, poured her grief into frantic research, her hope a fragile thing, while William built walls around his own heart, believing his son would never hear his father say, "I love you." Across town, in a small apartment that smelled of old coffee and determination, Leo fought his own battle. A veteran who had traded desert sand for a janitor's mop, his world was his 7-year-old daughter, Chloe. Chloe, whose world was also silent. She had lost her hearing to a severe fever when she was 3, a trauma that had cost Leo his marriage and his post-military footing. But where the judge saw a sentence, Leo saw a challenge. Every day was a lesson in lip reading, in sign language, in finding the music in the vibration of a floorboard. He spent his nights, after tucking Chloe in, not resting, but tinkering. He was an electronics whiz in the service, and now, surrounded by salvaged circuit boards and humming soldering irons, he was chasing a ghost, a device the world said wasn't possible. Fate, it seems, has a way of connecting broken circuits. Judge Pendleton, in a rare moment of desperation, agreed to a charity gala for veterans with disabilities. Leo, encouraged by his support group, was there to accept a small grant for his work. Their paths collided not at the gala, but after, in the rain-slicked parking lot. Chloe, chasing a runaway balloon, darted in front of the judge's sleek car. William slammed the brakes, his heart in his throat. Leo scooped up his daughter, his face a mask of fear and apology. The judge, shaken, saw not a scruffy man in a worn-out coat, but the fierce, protective love in his eyes, a reflection of his own, buried deep. Weeks later, a different kind of case landed on Judge Pendleton's docket, a dispute over a VA grant, with Leo's name on it. A corporation was claiming intellectual property rights over the very technology Leo was developing. Sitting on the bench, William looked down at the veteran, seeing the father from the parking lot, the man fighting for his daughter's world. In a controversial ruling, the judge found in Leo's favor, citing the unique nature of the veteran's independent project. The corporation's lawyers were furious, but Leo was free to continue his work. Driven by a debt he felt he could never repay, Leo did something brave, or perhaps foolish. He bypassed the secretaries and the security and managed to get a message to the judge's private chambers. "It's about your son, sir," the note read. "I think I can help." Eleanor, clutching at any straw, convinced a skeptical William to hear him out. In the judge's opulent study, surrounded by leather-bound law books, Leo stood nervously. He explained his project. Not a hearing aid, which amplified sound, but a neural bridge, a device that sought to bypass the damaged hair cells in the cochlea entirely and stimulate the auditory nerve. Directly using a complex, targeted frequency modulation. The medical establishment had told him it was a pipe dream. He pulled a small, unassuming black box from his backpack. It was covered in hand-soldered connections and had a small, wireless earpiece. "He'll never hear a gavel," Leo said softly, his eyes meeting the judge's. "But he might hear your voice." The challenge was immense. The risks were terrifying. What if it caused pain? What if it didn't work, and they had to watch hope die all over again? William, the man of logic and precedent, wanted to throw Leo out. But Eleanor, the mother, saw the same conviction in Leo's eyes that she had seen in her own when she first held Samuel. "We have to try," she whispered. The day of the test was charged with a palpable tension. In the soundproofed room of an audiologist Leo had convinced to assist, little Samuel sat on his mother's lap, oblivious. The judge stood rigid, his knuckles white. Leo, his hands trembling slightly, calibrated the device, his mind on Chloe, who was waiting at home, hoping for a miracle for another little boy. He fitted the small earpiece to Samuel's ear and activated the box. For a long, agonizing moment, nothing. Samuel's eyes, a beautiful, deep blue, remained unfocused, staring at nothing. Judge Pendleton's shoulders slumped, the weight of another disappointment crushing him. Leo's face fell, years of work seemingly evaporating. And then, Leo, thinking of the purest sound he knew, hummed a single, low, steady note. It was the same lullaby he hummed to Chloe every night, a vibration she felt through his chest. Samuel's head turned. It was a tiny, almost imperceptible movement. But it was deliberate. His eyes, once distant, now searched for the source of the new something. He wasn't startled by a crash or a bang, but curious, drawn by the gentle hum. A soft, gurgling coo escaped Samuel's lips, a sound they had heard 1,000 times, but this time, it was different. This time, it was a response. Tears, hot and unchecked, began to stream down Eleanor's face. The judge, the unshakable pillar of the court, fell to his knees beside his son. His voice, usually so firm and commanding, was a broken, choked whisper. "Samuel, can you hear me?" He leaned in close, his lips almost touching his son's ear. "I love you, son." And Samuel, his little body quivering with a new, strange sensation, turned his head and looked directly into his father's weeping eyes. He reached a tiny hand up and patted the wetness on William's cheek. He couldn't understand the words. Not yet, but he had heard the sound. He had heard the emotion, the love, the frequency of a father's heart, transmitted across the impossible silence. The resolution wasn't a magical cure. Samuel's journey into the world of sound was just beginning. It would be a long road of therapy and learning. But the door had been opened. In that room, two fathers, one in a tailored suit, one in a worn flannel shirt, embraced, bound by a miracle they had created together. Leo's device wasn't perfect, but it was a beginning. The judge used his influence to secure proper funding and testing, and Leo went on to refine his invention, named the Chloe Samuel Bridge, helping countless children. The inspiring message here isn't about a magical technological fix. It's about how our deepest struggles often prepare us to be the answer to someone else's prayers. It's about a veteran who refused to accept the world's impossible for his daughter, and in doing so, unlock the world for a judge's son. It's a reminder that sometimes, the most powerful forces in the universe are not gavels or verdicts, but a father's love, a mother's hope, and the stubborn, beautiful refusal to give up on someone. If you believe in the power of second chances and the miracles that happen when we help each other, share this story. Let's fill this world with more of this light. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind us of the good in humanity.